Here we are then, it is that time of year yet again, time to rank all of the liveries on the 2023 grid. I have got my list with all of the liveries ranked, ready, locked and loaded, and of course don't forget to let me know your top 10 in the comments box below, and if I have some absolute howlers, if you think my opinion on liveries is absolutely terrible, let me know in the comments below as well, but let's get into it. Coming in at number 10, I have got Alfa Tauri. Now, for the most part, their livery is kind of similar to last year. They have added some splashes of red now with Orlan, but I must be honest, this livery last year, it really, especially as the season went on, it just became really boring. I mean, I barely even noticed the Alfa Tauri. It was just kind of okay. It was kind of there. I'm also not a big fan of the fact that kind of the most of the front of the car is completely white. They've got a completely white nose. Yeah, I've already seen some, obviously, you know, the renders that they released, and I've also seen some on-track kind of footage as well, because they've kind of teased a few shakedowns, and it just doesn't look that great. It doesn't speak to me, to be honest. It's a pretty okay livery, you know, navy and white, and then, yeah, the splashes of red I think are cool, but yeah, they don't really do anything for me. And next up, in 9th place, I have got the first livery that was revealed, and that was the MoneyGram Haas F1 Team's livery for 2023. Now, again, when it comes to Haas, it's quite interesting because usually their liveries are kind of white, black, grey with kind of a little bit of red. I do think that there are some similarities actually to the Alfa Tauri livery because kind of the red really makes it stand out, but I think as a package, I think it's a lot better than the Alfa Tauri. I feel like the red with the MoneyGram logo on the engine cover, the red on the front wing, and also the rear wing as well with the Haas logo, I think it just ties it a lot, I think it looks more cohesive compared to the Alfa Tauri. And then also just the way that they've implemented the black and the white, I think is quite nice as well. The only thing about this livery is that I know after a few races and after I've seen it kind of 20 or 30 times, I'm probably going to get a little bit bored of it, I am not going to lie. I kind of has just kind of have that tendency when it comes to liveries with me anyway. So yeah, it's definitely not a bad livery by any means. I do like it, but yeah, I think I prefer all of the others over this one. So yeah, in 9th place, I have got Haas. In 8th place, I have got the livery that actually was, I think, last on my list last year. So yeah, this team is definitely improving and moving up in the world. I have got, maybe controversially, I have got the Williams livery in 8th place. Now, even though I definitely think it's an improvement over last year, I like the additions. Hopefully the Duracell sponsorship with the battery on the airbox, hopefully that stays for the entire season because we only saw it in some of the races last year. I love the fact that they've gone to matte blue. I think it's just it just looks a lot better both in the studio and also in the kind of on-track photos that I've seen compared to last year. And some of the little changes that they have made to the livery, like more of that kind of light blue color on the side pods. So I definitely think it's a better livery than last year. It still doesn't get me excited. I think it's the lack of sponsors actually, and to be honest, that golf jumper kind of pattern on the back of the engine cover, it's still not my favorite, to be brutally honest with you. So even though I do like the colors, I like the direction that they're going in, and I do like that they've actually almost kind of improved their livery, but they're kind of keeping the same livery as last year, but they've kind of improved it because Williams do like to kind of change from year to year. But yeah, I like what they've done this year. Definitely an improvement. I just feel like with the lack of sponsors and still some of those shapes and again the golf jumper thing that's going on in the engine cover, yeah, it's definitely not my favorite, but still a solid livery, and again, an improvement for Williams. Hopefully also a sign of things to come on track because I would love for them to be fighting in that midfield in 2023. Now, really quickly before we move on to the next livery, which is actually a top team on the grid, I want to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Beer 52. How does a free case of beer sound? Beer 52 is the biggest beer club in the world that each month sends its members a unique case of beers from all over the world. Simply go to www.beer52.com/Aldas or check out the link at the very top of the description, and all you have to do is cover the meagre postage cost of £5.95 to claim your free case right now. Inside the unique case, you'll get 8 different craft beers, and so far members have experienced beers from over 40 different countries spanning 5 continents. You'll also get some really nice snacks to enjoy with your beer, and inside is also their Ferment magazine, where you can learn about where the beers you're drinking actually come from and about the people that made them, like with this Peachy Pale Ale from Manchester. There is a whole range of styles to compare and learn about in just one box. Very nice. When signing up, if dark beers are not your thing, then you can always choose just the light case. And even if after all of that you are still unsure, then you can cancel your subscription at any time. So once again, to claim your free case, that's www.beer52.com/Aldas, or use the link at the very top of the description and drink up. Right, next up and in 7th place, I have got Red Bull. Now, of course, it is the same livery as last year. It's actually the same livery kind of, or basic livery concept with kind of the matte dark blue or dark navy, and then with the really bright yellow and red of the Red Bull logo. It's actually kind of the same livery that they've had since 2016 when they kind of switched over to the matte look. And the thing I'll say about this livery, even though it has kind of fallen down my list just a little bit, because I think it was actually a bit higher in the last couple of years, I still love this livery. And unlike some of the other liveries on this list, I'll be honest, it's one thing to look at kind of a picture of a car or a video of a car, but when I saw this livery for myself the last time I was at a Grand Prix, which was in 2021 at Silverstone, I mean, this livery made a massive impression on me. Just the way it pops in the sun. Pictures will never do it justice, but in the sun, that yellow, that red, up against the really dark kind of navy blue, it really does pop, and I thought it was one of the best liveries on the grid. It was the livery that actually surprised me the most in 2021, and luckily this year I'm returning to Silverstone, so yeah, hopefully it kind of makes the same impression on these kind of brand new generation of cars. So yes, even though it is kind of the same livery, I do feel like Red Bull are trying to almost build that iconic status of almost like the Marlboro McLaren. So even though I know the fans are kind of bored of the same livery, I'll be honest, when I saw it, you know, just from that memory of seeing it for myself, I know I'm going to still love it, and that's why, you know, it is number 7 on my list. Next up, in 6th place, I have got McLaren. Now, in terms of the things that I really love about this livery, I mean, number 1 is the papaya. That is always, when a team has a signature color that, you know, no other team has on the grid, I mean, you're not going to confuse this car for anything else. That just gets points straight away. I love uniqueness. I love teams having kind of their heritage color that's completely different. I also do like the implementation of the blue. Now, I'm not quite sure what significance it has, because I know last year they had a partnership with Gulf, and obviously Gulf moved over to Williams this year, but they've actually kept the blue. So yeah, perhaps they just really like it as part of their kind of brand. And I do think it actually looks quite nice on some of their merch as well, although I know that might be a little bit controversial with some McLaren fans. So even though I do like this livery, I will admit that I don't love it, because what I really feel like when I look at this livery is that there is so much exposed carbon fiber that it almost feels like the papaya, which should be the most kind of important part of the car. I mean, again, that's their brand, that's their heritage color that, you know, is unique to them. But on this livery, it really does feel like almost an afterthought. And when I talk about some of the other liveries later on, where their color is like the number 1 thing, it's the most important thing, and you almost get the sense that the color came first and then everything else came afterwards. It almost feels like with McLaren, it was like bare carbon fiber, and then they were like, right, where can we put a little bit of papaya afterwards? So yeah, even though I do like this livery, I just feel like there is so much more potential, hopefully, in the future, when they can actually add more color onto the car. So yeah, I do like it. I don't love it because I want more papaya, McLaren. Give me more color. But yeah, I do still think it is a very, very nice livery. Coming in at number 5, I've actually got a livery that last year, I believe, was in 2nd place. So it's a little bit of a drop from, you know, for this team, but I do still like their livery, and that is Alfa Romeo. So obviously last year, I think the combination of red and white was honestly one of the best on the grid. I absolutely love it. I do still like the combination of kind of red and black, but yeah, it just doesn't hit the same. You know, even the Alfa Romeo logo on the engine cover, I preferred it last year. It was like massive, you know, on the engine cover in white. This year it's a little bit smaller, but again, the livery designers had to kind of work around the you know, the bodywork. So it's one of those tricky things that where I'm pretty sure the livery designers were kind of, you know, their hands were kind of tied, but you know, I'm judging it based on the livery. So yeah, I do still love it. I mean, black and red is always a great combination. It's kind of hard to go wrong with black and red. They do have a few kind of, you know, little white parts of the car, which I think is really nice, because I like all of the sponsorship. I like that all of the sponsorship is in kind of the same white color, and then they have their kind of livery underneath. Certainly from some of the on-track pictures that I've seen, it does look very, very mean. So yeah, even though I don't love it as much as last year, clearly Alfa Romeo, I mean, they've always delivered bangers, and yeah, in 2023 we have another one. And next up, in 4th place, I have got a livery that last season, actually, when it came out, I wasn't too sure about it, but over the season, it probably grew on me more than any other livery, and luckily for 2023, they've kept it kind of the same with a few little touches or differences there and there, and that is the Alpine livery, the combination of the electric Alpine blue, that really nice shade of BWT pink, and also, like, of course, all of the other teams, they've also incorporated more black into the livery, but they've done it in a really good way that just makes the entire livery look really cohesive. So yeah, the combination of the blue, the black, and the pink, it just works really well. So even on the front wing, as an example, I love the fact that on the end plates of the front wing, it's black. The actual kind of BWT pink is also kind of the main focus of the front wing, and you just have that kind of hint of blue with the nose of the car as well. So yeah, shout out to, of course, Sean Bull, who was part of the team that actually designed this livery. So yeah, I was talking to him actually about it a little bit. So yeah, it's another banger from the guys and the team over at Alpine. I absolutely love it. Last year, this livery just looked amazing in pictures, and as a content creator, it always helps when you have good liveries for thumbnails as well. So yeah, it's another banger from Alpine, and yeah, in 4th place. And next up, we are into the podium places, and in 3rd place, I have got the Black Arrow, the Mercedes. Now, of course, a return to the black, a fan favorite, I think, and boy, does this livery really work, because when it comes to black liveries, it's very easy for them, I think, to look boring. I mean, for example, some people might go, might ask me, you kind of took points off McLaren, for example, because there wasn't kind of more color, more papaya, so why is the Mercedes, so high up? But for me, I think it's about the package, and whilst I kind of said with McLaren that the papaya almost felt like an afterthought, I think this car, the Mercedes, from day one, I think this livery was designed to be black, and I think all of the other elements that they've added just kind of make it look like a really cohesive livery. And now, I must be honest that when it comes to this livery, I will also say that I think actually Lewis Hamilton's version, specifically with his kind of yellow number and his yellow helmet, is the best version of this livery. It's kind of the only one where I think it's, driver specific, because I'm not actually a big fan of George's color, because he's got obviously the turquoise stripe from the Petronas, his number is actually in green for some reason, and he's got a blue helmet. So there's just a little bit too much going on. I'm not quite sure why his number is not just blue. Hopefully they do change that over the course of the season, but when I saw pictures of Lewis specifically in that car with his helmet, with his kind of colored yellow number, oh my god, it looks menacing, it looks mean, and man, I cannot wait to see more of this livery on track in Bahrain, and especially at night as well. We are down to the final 2, and in 2nd place and runner-up, I have got Aston Martin. Now, I will actually say that I actually prefer last year's livery a little bit over this one, although I do like some of the tweaks that they've done. Now, something I really liked about last year's livery is the fact that they used Lime Essence, that yellow. It's called Lime Essence. It's an Aston Martin specific color, actually. They used it a lot more last year on some of the rear wing, some of the front wing, some of the logos as well, like the Aston Martin, and also some of the lettering was also more in that Lime Essence. And they've actually kind of removed a lot of it. It's only really that kind of one line that goes across the car. So yeah, I was a really big fan of that Lime Essence color. Sadly, they have took some of it away for this year, but other than that kind of minor little critique, this is a stunning livery. I absolutely love that green. I think it's a great color for Aston Martin. It's now their heritage color. It's what they're going to build their brand on, So Aston Martin are hoping to be one of the big teams in Formula 1. And just like with some of the other teams, when you see a color, you associate it with a team. When you see green, you will associate it with this car and this team. And I think they've done a fantastic job. And to bring back what I said about McLaren, the green is front and center. It feels like from day one, that green was on the car and everything else came after it. Whilst, as I said with McLaren, the papaya was almost an afterthought, or at least that's what it seems like. So that is why this green is just so much better than the papaya on the McLaren, because it is front and center across the entire car. They do still have quite a bit of black elements, as most of the teams do, but it's just incorporated in a really nice way. So you can see, for example, on the main body of the car, you've got the main green at the top of the engine cover. You've got the really nice kind of contrast with the logos that are all in white as well, which I think is a really nice touch. You've just got that pinstripe line of that lime essence, and then the bottom of the car is kind of black or exposed carbon fiber, and it just works really well. I've already seen pictures of this car and videos during the shakedown that Aston Martin had, and it looks stunning. I mean, of course it does. It's I love the color, I love the cohesiveness of the livery, I love that all of the decals and sponsors are in white. It's just a really smart livery, and I think, yeah, it's one of my absolute favorites. But it is not quite my favorite of 2023, because again, taking the title once again, going back to back in my livery rankings, it is Ferrari, who in my opinion have the best livery in 2023. I absolutely loved this livery, the livery that they had last year with that kind of deeper, darker red and all of those black accents. I think they've just improved this livery even more. Of course, the rear wing, you know, adding that white Ferrari logo on the rear wing, I think just adds even more to it. It's just a great livery in my opinion. Again, like the Aston Martin, there is not too much to it, you know, it's just red, but sometimes simple liveries really do work. And again, I really like the incorporation of the black as well, kind of keeping it low on the car so that the top of the car, which is where the cameras are going to kind of look at it for most of the time, that is where all of the color is on the car. So there is actually not too much to say about the Ferrari. It's kind of very similar to last year, a few little changes there and there. A few things I actually don't prefer over last year's car. So for example, on the side pod, I don't like that little kind of weird bit of carbon fiber underneath the Saver sponsorship. I think I just wish that was all red. But other than that slight critique, to me it's a fantastic livery. Everything is really legible and clear on the car. And once again, you know, seeing the pictures of this car, you know, shaken down at Fiorano, straight away it made an impact on me. Straight away I was just like, wow, this is a great livery. You know, Ferrari, it's weird with Ferrari because yes, it was always going to be red, but it doesn't mean that it was always going to be a good livery. Like there's actually some Ferrari liveries, like for example, I remember from 2012, which I really don't like, but this one straight away, it made an impact. I loved it straight away last year, and I still love it in 2023. So I don't know if this is an omen for the year ahead or for the championship, but when it comes to liveries, Ferrari, you are the world champions. Well, there you have it. That is my livery rankings video. Don't forget to let me know your top 10 in the comments box below. And if you did enjoy this video, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That would be massively appreciated. And I'll see you in the next one.